it's referenced this, which
Good
I
evening.
was not.
Let's call the meeting to order, please. Today is Tuesday, it's July the 11th. We're at the Civic Center for our first monthly July meeting. Let's please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adrian, if you call the roll, please.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Here.
Ms. Albrecht.
Here.
Mayor Kathy.
Here.
Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Putnam.
Here.
Thank you. I don't have any comments at this time other than we had a record crowd for the 4th of July. I think everything went as smoothly as we could expect. We survived. All of our city workers, all of our police, our EM, everyone that was involved, I heard nothing but compliments from those that I spoke to, and I appreciate all of y'all getting out and servicing our community. Rex, you have anything?
I do not.
No.
Just a thanks to those that did work the beach. I think under the circumstances, they did a good job. Certainly we all would probably have liked it to have been better, but I think they did a very good job, and that includes our visitors that came here. I think they did a great job by picking stuff up.
Right. All right, moving on. Citizens' comments.
Jim Bush, 130 Palm Street. I'm a member of the Planning and Zoning Board. And originally I'd planned on getting on the agenda to brief you all on, as you know, we're currently updating the comp plan to let you know where we are and where we're going to go in the future, but we got our wires crossed. So now I'm thrown in with the citizen comments. Mel, can I have the first slide? I've got it already. Before I get into where we are and where we're going to go, since the public is going to be such a big part in what we do in updating this plan, I'd like to bring you guys up to speed on exactly what it is that we're talking about. And as you know, growth is inevitable, and the state of Florida has recognized that. So they've actually required us to develop a plan or a vision for the way that we're going to grow in the future. And it's basically going to provide the guidelines for all the development we do in the future. And what we're looking at is for the future, and we're talking about the future 10 to 20 years down the road. And this comprehensive plan, which I will refer to in the future as the comp plan, is basically what we're going to use as the basis for our land development regulations. And if you're familiar with our land development regulations, those give the specific guidelines for any new land development or any new building that goes on in Mexico Beach. So this document we're working on is very important because it provides the guidelines for all building and all development in the future. Okay, our plan was originally adopted in '91. The state requires that it be updated every 7 years, and as you can see, our last update was in 2007. So we're overdue for an update. The city recently received a grant from the state, so we've got a contract with the planning cooperative, which does this thing on a normal basis. So they're going to be assisting us in the future with updating this plan. Next slide. Okay, so where we are now as far as updating this plan. Okay. An evaluation and assessment report has already been conducted by the Planning Collective. And when they did this thing, they basically looked at the comp plan only from the perspective is, does it meet the state requirements? And go ahead and scroll up a little bit right there. The only problems we've got right now with what we presently have is that in the future land use element, which is basically what focuses on future development. And you can see the things there that they've identified where we need some work in Section 8. And we were briefed on this on a June 6th Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Okay, after that Planning and Zoning Board meeting, we conducted our own workshop to take a look at the plan ourselves, because I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've been a member of the Planning and Zoning Board for about 18 months, and I've never spent any time looking at the comp plan, nor had any of the other members, because we're basically involved with the LDR. So each one of us took a look at the comp plan in great detail, trying to determine, is the current plan we've got serviceable? If it's not, where do we have to go from there? So next one, Mel. Okay, so we conducted our own workshop on the 23rd of June. And in doing so, we determined basically there are things that we're going to have to do before we can even get started. And one of these things is missing now from the current comp plan, is basically the vision that we have for the city 10 or 20 years from now. There's no vision at all in the current comp plan. And basically what this vision should be is, what do we want the city to look like 10 or 20 years from now? Do we want it to be a traditional small town community? Do we want it to look like Panama City Beach? Or do we want it to look like somewhere in between? And we really can't go any further to determine exactly what it is we want to be. So once we determine what it is that we want to be, how are we going to get there? And we really can't get there until we determine what values we want our city to reflect. So that's the main thing we see missing right now. The city's intent is unclear. What is it we want to do? How are we going to get, what do we want to reflect? And then what kind of vision, what kind of city we want to look like from now. In addition to that, the current comp plan is really, really verbose, really wordy, and aside from us, unbeknownst to us, the planning collective has already identified the same thing, and they've developed a draft, and they've already eliminated much of that excessive language. And a lot of that excessive language is simply a restatement of state law, because it is state law, it's elsewhere, it doesn't need to be in our comp plan. In addition to that, some of the sections, can you come back down a little bit? Some of the sections are vague and open to personal interpretation. For example, the current comp plan wants us to protect coastal resources. Well, protect coastal resources from what? From any development, from overdevelopment? That needs to be defined. Another example is we're supposed to provide affordable housing. Well, what is affordable housing? What's affordable in Palm Beach? If you can live in Palm Beach, you couldn't, you probably could afford a place here, but couldn't afford a place in Palm Beach. So a lot of these things need to be defined in more detail. Now, some of them may not be able to be, but we should at least need to take a shot at that. And then other sections of the plan are too detailed. For example, the current comp plan goes into great detail as to how we're going to involve the public in updating the plan every 7 years, or if there's going to be an amendment to the plan, how that amendment will be carried out. Well, we believe that the comp plan should give general guidelines and leave it up to the current council, the current planning and zoning board, exactly how that's to be carried out. So based on those things, we've come to the conclusion that the plan needs a complete review and rewrite. And that's what we're looking at doing. Okay, the goals and what we think the plan should do. And I've basically got these listed in order of priority. I'd like to look at a couple of these in great detail. Go down to the third bullet, identify the city's growth objectives and core values. Again, I think that's the most important thing that this plan needs to do, because until we know exactly what we want to do, we can't develop guidelines to get there. The next would be the next bullet down, provide minimum requirements. Again, this is a guideline for the LDR. We provide guidelines to the LDR, and then it develops specific requirements. And then finally, the last thing there, slip it up a little bit, meet state requirements. I realize this is required by the state, but this is our document and not the state's document. And if you look at the current document in great detail, it looks like it was written to satisfy what the state's looking for, rather than to use as a working document for us. So that's one of the things we want to ensure that we do, is to make this a working document for us. Next one, Mel. Okay, so how are we going to get there? We've already done a little bit of work. The planning community has already done a little bit of work, so how are we going to get there? Basically, we're going to do this in 3 steps. First of all, determine exactly who we are and whether or not we're happy with who we are. If we're not happy with where we are, that begs the second question: what do we want to be? After we've identified those, who we are and what we want to be, then we can go on to the third step: how do we get there? And that's what this proposed timeline basically addresses. The key features of what we want to do is provide a maximum opportunity for the public to get involved, because after all, this is their city, and this should reflect the consensus of what the community wants us to be. And then 2, keep you up to date on where we're going so that we don't throw everything at you at once, so there's not surprised in the end, so that every step we take, you know what's going on. Okay. We have a public workshop scheduled currently for the 1st of August, and I look at this as probably being the most important meeting we're going to have, and we're going to try and get maximum public involvement in this, because this is where we're going to decide where we're going to go in the future, what we want our community to look like, what values we want it to reflect. And as I said earlier, once we've determined that, then we can go on from there. Then we've broken it down into future workshops in the future, basically 2 a month, even more if we can do it. Now, this is just kind of a guesstimate at what we're going to be doing, but we are going to break them down by section. Some sections we come to, we may breeze right through and not have to change anything. Others may require a lot of work. So if you take a look, we've got one community workshop scheduled for like September, the first one, section 8, which is the future use element. We're looking at 2 elements. We may get through those 2 elements in 15 minutes and have time to develop more. So again, this is only a guideline for where we want to go. We hope to have this thing tied up before Thanksgiving. It may take longer, it may go a lot faster than that, but basically Thanksgiving is going to be our goal, to have this thing complete and to get it to you for final approval. Okay, first of all the workshops are going to be conducted using the draft that the Planning Collective has already developed. We'll take what they've done and then either add, subtract, or whatever to that. The next thing is that the workshops we're going to conduct are going to be separate from our monthly meetings. So we're looking now, for at least for the next several months, Planning and Zoning Board meeting several times a month. And we will determine at each workshop when we're going to conduct the next one based on availability of the Planning and Zoning Board members. And each one of these workshops, we're going to have a member of the Planning Collective there to determine what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, or to give us guidance on where we need to go. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the next one, Mel, we really think it's important that we get maximum public involvement in what we're going to do. So how are we going to go about doing that? Okay, looking at the first bullet up there, we need to get the word out on what it is we're doing and why we're doing it. And that's been a problem in the future. So we've got plans right now to post what's going on in Facebook, let them know if they look at the Facebook page what's going on. As far as the city website itself, we've got a tab there, Planning and Zoning Board. We'll put something under the Planning and Zoning Board, let them know what's going on. And then each time we hold a workshop, we'll post the results on that Planning and Zoning Board tab so that people can log on and actually see what we've done. And we'll scroll up a little bit more, Mel. Sorry, scroll down, I'm sorry. We've now got our own email address. Okay, so once we've held this first workshop and we post what it is we've developed, all the members of the community will have an opportunity not only to talk about what they think of what we've done at the next workshop, but they can make written comments to what we've done. Those will also be addressed at the next workshop. So, and then again, as I said earlier, we will report after each workshop to you on what we've come up with. So that's basically where we are and where we plan on going. Question?
Yeah, shouldn't the email address be on a city server versus Gmail? Because I would assume still goes by the Florida laws that it has to be open records and so forth at the workshops.
Well, we've basically said that they're going to become part of the public record.
I understand. I just I don't know.
I mean, I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Do we have capability of putting it on the server? And I don't know what the other guys think, but
To do so would cost us about $6 or $7 a month. I know that's not a lot of money, but we need to leave space on our email addresses for other uses, and we're up one short of our max right now, so we don't want to max that out if we don't have to.
okay.
I've got control of this particular email address, so I can make sure that everything is kept for the public record.
Good. Since I asked a question, the other question is, your meetings, will they be recorded so they can go?
Yeah, Adrian will be there for each one.
Great.
Other questions, comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. That was well done.
He's got
Sound like somebody's put a lot of thought into how to move that forward.
It's an important issue, guys.
Appreciate it very much.
We definitely want to take all the time necessary to do a good job.
Other citizens' comments? Okay, moving on. Consent agenda, we have some meetings. Excuse me, we have some meeting. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any opposition? All right, Mr. Jeff?
Good evening, Jeff Britton, Dewberry Preble Rish. We'll run through these project updates real quick. I saw a couple of other items are further down the agenda, so we'll circle back to those later. First thing, current FERDAP grant cycle. The application that was submitted last year, the FERDAP grants were not funded in the state budget this year, so there will be no award for that. Earlier this year, we chose, well, the leading candidate for the project this year would have been a pavilion at the canal. For our submittal this October, we'll need to go back and decide, do we want a pavilion at Parker Park, or do we want to submit a pavilion at the canal? We don't have to make that decision tonight, we've got a couple months, but we need to start thinking about it. All right?
I can give you some update on the canal.
Update on the canal?
On the canal pavilion. The one at the end of the, is that what you're?
Yeah, correct. That one began to fail when we were installing sheet piles last summer, and so it was demolished. And to have a new one reinstalled this year was the leading candidate for a FERDAP grant application.
So I have had a group of business people in town that have approached me about furnishing funds to build a pavilion down there.
Okay, excellent.
And that will be by, we will know, it will look, what they have proposed will look very similar to the one at Sunset Park that has the hip roof.
Okay,
14 by 40.
okay,
And that is going through DEP now. I saw an email that because it's in front of the coastal construction line,
Right.
we have to get some DEP permits.
right.
So that is, that's in the
In
making.
the works, okay. Well, that makes it easier then. Looks like the pavilion for Parker Park is back up top. Like I said, we don't have to submit until October, so if something else does pop up the city wants us to pursue, we can go in that direction. We will need an updated resolution for whatever project we decide to pursue. But again, that's further down the line. Sidewalk grants, no updates from DOT on that just yet. Let's see, the DEP grant for the sand bypass beach restoration system. We are working through clarification on a request by DEP on the initial scope application to encumber the funds. We expect to hear back from that soon, and then we'll be ready to finalize a proposal and get into the design portion of the project. Alternate.
Excuse me a minute.
Sure.
I may have more questions because I'm newer here.
That's fine.
Sand bypass, are we talking vehicular, or are we talking where we're gonna pump, use the, I've heard about vehicular, is that what this is for?
This is for vehicular transport down to the beach area around the El Governor that's narrowed. And so this is to restore, carry sand down there, place it, help that beach area recover better.
And are you aware there was a considerable amount of work done on vehicular sand bypass about 3 years ago with DEP, multiple meetings where we would pump a pile of sand there at the mouth at the canal.
Mm-hmm. And that's the
Okay.
approach that this one's based on.
Okay.
So I can get a copy of our proposal and sit down with you to make sure we're not duplicating stuff that or we're not proposing to duplicate work that's already been performed.
Okay. I would like to look at what we're doing.
Okay,
'Cause I'm not sure what we're,
Absolutely. To take a step back, about 3 months ago, Mike Dombrowski, who's a coastal engineer well respected throughout the state of Florida, came in and gave a presentation on what the current study was looking at doing, different actions that could restore the beach, renourish the sand, bring the width back out. He identified a handful of options that this money could be applied to and that could be constructed that would improve and increase the width of the beach. Some of them were just too expensive and probably unsightly, what we didn't want the beach to look like, so they were kind of put to the back burner or ignored. But there's a couple of other items that were being discussed. One is the vehicular transport of the sand, and everybody seemed to be on board with that. Another item was either making the east jetty sand tight or making it sand tight and extending it. The last comment or question during his presentation wanted to see a list of pros and cons, why that would really be needed, how that would help with dredging activities and make those run smoother. So a report has been furnished and forwarded to Mel. I think he's passed it around. It should have all the information in there regarding those studies and recommendations and anticipated cost. And if the council would like, I can have Mr. Dombrowski come back and talk through the results a little bit now that the study's complete. But anyway, that study is the basis of this proposal and of the work moving forward. So right now in the proposal that we have, we talk about making the existing jetties sand tight as a possibility. But again, that can come out and we can focus those funds more towards the sand transport down the beach to re-nourish the beach more. So
For $465,000?
there's a 25% city match required. So the total value is around $611,000. It's estimated that one round of the beach renourishment via vehicular transport is going to cost around $250,000. So
How many
between
cubic yards of sand are we moving?
a lot, I don't
When
have
you say one round, explain that.
The calculations performed that would move the amount of sand allowed to move down the beach. Philip, do you know the numbers off the top of your head? It's what's in the current permit. It's just allowing us to move it further down the beach as opposed to stockpiling it where we can actually pump it to. I can't
Have we
remember.
met with DEP?
Yes,
Okay, and they're agreeable to the vehicle?
yes. They're actually providing the $465,000 for it. So,
That's good, they've had a change of heart.
yeah.
It's a 5-year plan, isn't it, Jeff?
Well, it's currently, the funding will be good for 18 months, but then you can extend that for another year, so 2.5 years. So,
Well, we'll probably have to re-nourish every 2 to 3 years.
and that's something that Mr. Dombrowski said. And if we just focused on the vehicular transport, then after we moved the first allotment of sand that we're allowed to, we would have some money still left in the grant to come back and do another round. It wouldn't be a full load transported down there because there would be an extra $250,000 left over, but what was there could be used again.
And the identified critical erosion is what area?
I think it's between markers, I think 32 and 37, which is down by the El Governor.
Thank you.
Sure. Alternate water source project. We've got a test well now completely installed. It's a 700 plus feet deep. It's on the north side of the Wallace Pump parcel on the northernmost part of Mexico Beach. The next step is to run what's called a 24-hour test to see what kind of flows we're going to get out of it and continue testing the water samples coming out of it to see if it'll be an appropriate place for an alternate water supply. Next up, the canal. The canal is substantially complete. The last item to be installed is the overhead lighting. Duke Energy is going to come install those. They were out on Friday locating poles. So if you see some post with a white tip on it out there, about midway up the slope, that's the proposed location for the overhead lights, the dock lighting. We did a final walkthrough on Friday, prepared a punch list of items for the contractor to address in the next 30 days. Most of the stuff was very minimal. There was some concrete damage along the 1,700 linear feet of wall that was installed and sidewalk. That'll be taken care of. There was one of the dock pedestals. If you were down there walking, you would notice one of the dock pedestals had a leak. That was identified. The contractor has had his electrician and plumber out here to address that. I spoke with Harders today that one's actually been done already. There was a breaker in one of the panel cabinets that would not stay live. It kept tripping. So there was a safety feature that had come loose during install, so the contractor had his electrician out today and fixed that. Some of the other items that were identified that still need to be done, the sanitary pump out station. There's some fittings that need to be ordered and some electrical work that needs to be done on that, but that'll be reconnected here soon and ready to go again. Let's see. Other than that, there was a couple of conduits leading to some of the dock pedestals under the boardwalk that needed a little more support. And other than that, everything else is very minor. So, let's see. Next one. Well, I had a note on Oleander paving, but I think we're going to come back to that during the city paving projects later. So, if there's not any more questions, that'll do it for me.
Any questions for Jeff? Anybody? Everybody good? Good. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, moving on, we have the first reading of ordinance 670. Do I have a motion to read 670 by title only?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any opposition? Adrian, would you read, please?
Ordinance 670, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, banning medical marijuana treatment center dispensing facilities from being located within the boundaries of the City of Mexico Beach, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
This is the first reading. Are there any comments concerning ordinance 670? Okay, that'll be on our next month's for a second reading. All right, we also, next is the second reading of ordinance 669. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
Go back one.
About 670.
Oh, I missed 671. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Ordinance 671.
So moved.
Don't miss that one.
Don't want to miss that one. That's right. Sure don't. All right,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Is there any opposition to reading? Please do so.
Ordinance 671, an ordinance amending ordinance 658 to provide for year-round garbage and trash collection for 2 times per week, repealing any parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Okay, any comments concerning ordinance 671? Again, the first reading, be on the agenda for next month. Okay. All right, moving to ordinance 669. It's a second reading of ordinance 669. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any opposition? Reading ordinance 669. Mr. Adrian, please do.
Ordinance 669, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending the city's land development regulations to prohibit metal buildings from being approved for residential use or being converted to residential use, defining metal building, repealing ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, and providing an immediately effective date.
Are there any comments concerning ordinance 669? Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes.
All right. Next is resolution 2017-07. Do I have a motion to read resolution 2017-07 by title only?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any opposition? Please read.
Resolution 2017-07, a resolution relating to the procedure, agendas, agenda deadlines, order of business, authority to place items on agenda, conduct of meetings, minutes, and related matters pertaining to workshops, regular and special meetings of the City Council, providing for severability and reciting an effective date.
Okay, the way that is worded, I think maybe before we make a motion to adopt it, if you would, let's clarify what that resolution is. Al, if you would, please.
At the present time, the city council conducts a pre-agenda meeting on the first Tuesday of the month. In essence, what this does is takes away that meeting completely and does provide that the second Tuesday of each month to continue at 6 p.m. as it has, and the fourth Tuesday of the month, which has also been a workshop, will now become a regular city council meeting, and that meeting will take place at 9 a.m. on that particular day.
Okay. Just to clarify what we read. So, are there any comments concerning Resolution 2017-07?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Which one will Nick come to?
I'm happy to come to either one, depending on how much business is being conducted, when I can be more helpful. I think the default Mel and I spoke about would be the Tuesday evening, second Tuesday, but there shouldn't generally be conflicts, and I'm flexible.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor? I know it's been said before, but can we clarify that indeed there will be, public discussion? Well, some people have been worried we're not going to have a workshop, but these meetings will be able, and in
Just
such
like
a
this
way.
one.
So public will be able to speak and discuss.
I've
this.
always felt the public should be able to speak on a topic as long as it pertains to an agenda item.
Right, okay. I just wanted, because I know we've had some issues.
This might have nothing to do with this, but you know those sheets that we fill out prior to? I find them very helpful when somebody has something on the agenda. It's just 3 or 4 pages.
Well,
Not 3 or 4
informational-
pages.
information
Yeah, I
sheet.
just find it very helpful so that when we come here, we know what you were thinking about, whoever was presenting. So if we can continue that, if the others approve.
I thought we were still doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure that,
Yeah.
just because, yeah,
I mean,
okay.
we have to have the agenda, is it Thursday?
Thursday.
So we have almost 5 days, and then in the packet usually is an information
Right,
sheet.
right.
And we may be slack on some of those, I don't know.
I think we all
Yeah,
are
well, we
slack
need
once
to.
in a while.
Well,
Yeah. It's life.
that's right. All right, moving on, do we have a motion to adopt Resolution 2017-07?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, a second, call the roll, please.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Kaplan,
Yes.
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Putnam.
Yes.
Okay, next is Resolution 2017-08. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
Move.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. Any opposition to reading? Please do so.
One clarification before I read it, it's going to be Resolution 2017-09. I miskeyed it. So it's 09, we've already got an 08. Resolution 2017-09, a resolution of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, supporting the city applying for Florida Department of Environmental Protection funds to continue the city efforts in beach renourishment, or restoration, sorry.
Okay. Are there any comments concerning Resolution 2017-09? Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Second, call the roll, please.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Kaplan? Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Moving on, under other business. City Clerk, RFQ.
All right. We talked about this at the last workshop about going up for RFQ for insurance, for health insurance, dental insurance, and vision and life insurance for city employees. This is the document just changed from Parker to Mexico Beach. It's a little more abbreviated, not much, but it's pretty close. It's going to be a tight time frame as renewal is coming. So I just want that approved so we can go out and start getting proposals.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve an RFQ for employee insurance?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion, second. Any questions, comments? Is there any opposition to the RFQ? Motion passes unanimous.
Canal project. Mr. Administrator.
As it was mentioned earlier, that the substantial completion has come and gone for the canal. The unfortunate part of it, it took way too long than what we had anticipated to get it done. So the council had instructed us to send a letter to the contractor to threaten the implementation of liquidated damages at $1,500 per day. We've gotten replies that our engineer has provided. In other words, one of the alternates that was mentioned was work was added to the contract, but no additional time was allowed. In other words, change order number 2 in particular provided for a couple $100,000 of work, but we did not at the time increase the amount of time to take care of that project. So that was a mistake that we all missed earlier in the process that we should have taken care of, but that's a reason why it did go over. Weather impacts in the past month, the weather has been rather wet and sporadic. Not much could have been done. No question that the low bid that Harder's provided did give us some breathing room to get other projects done in the canal, like alternate number 2 in particular. The items that the contractor provided at their own cost that wasn't required in the contract was some riprap at the southern end of the seawall, some additional sod, some pile caps, and 400 linear feet of additional control joints. That comes up to about $15,000 and some change. Having worked with H.G. Harder during the whole process, we have a very good working relationship with them, want to continue that. Based on that, we wholeheartedly recommend that the city does not pursue the liquidated damages. So my recommendation to the council is to let it go. Let the project finish out in the next 30 days, get the punch list done, get everything done, and then we've got a project that we all can be proud of.
Just a clarification, was there a vote by the council to proceed with liquidated damages?
There wasn't a vote, there was a consensus to send the letter.
To send the letter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Nick, can you help me here? Is there action that we need to take? If there was no official city action taken to seek liquidated damages, is there a need then to have official city action? I'm not sure how I handle that.
It's a good point you're making. If there had been a vote before, you'd want to make a vote to
Right.
change direction. It's always helpful to have a motion and just clarify what you really intend, but if there's a discussion and we're all clear about what the result of that discussion is, there wasn't a vote previously, you don't necessarily need to vote tonight.
Well, then I'll just open it to the floor for general discussion about the letter and what we just heard.
Well, I was for liquidation. However, the amount that we would be asking for is minimal, in my mind at this point, compares to the big picture. And I think Harder's has done a great job. From what I understand, they've been comfortable to work with, easy to work with, so in my mind, I would say I would not go after the little bit that remains.
I agree.
Basically, I agree. If you look at what was the original figure that they thought that was, we would go after versus, reading this letter, which is now down to 30, they provided 50%. They've come halfway, and I think we should go halfway.
I agree. Would the record be clear if we make a motion? Or are you comfortable, and Mel, are you comfortable with the direction you've been given?
I understand.
Okay. Then we'll move on. Leave no trace contract. Again, Mel, that's you.
Thanks, Your Honor. As you know, we did contract with Coastal Parasail for picking up leave no trace items on most every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday during the whole summer season. The only times where that is not true is during the busy weeks of July 4th and, of course, the Memorial holiday yet to come. They did pick up the whole week of July the 4th. It did come with some hurdles in that we understand that one day they didn't pick up at all. We understand that they didn't throw enough personnel towards the project to get done. For instance, in one of the busiest days of the year, which is the day before July 4th, they only got from the west end to the driftwood because they had one truck and one gentleman working. Did a fine job up until the driftwood, but at that point it was 7 a.m. and that's when the leave no trace order says they can have their stuff out. Also, we have not gotten data from the organization about how many items they have picked up. So we have been kicking around the idea of maybe getting rid of the contract with them. When you review the contract, the way you go about it is you send them a letter with their deficiencies and give them a small amount of time to cure those. If they don't cure them, then you can get rid of the contract. The other alternative is to give them 30 days notice that the contract is going to end. Today, both Philip and I did speak with one of the top dogs of that organization, and they did say that they admitted that one day one of their crew members did oversleep and did not show up. They also said that when we accused them of not throwing enough personnel to get the job done, they agreed that they've been hesitant. But the problem stems that the local gentleman in charge of the project didn't relay the issues to the people at the top. So the people at the top had no idea we were having problems out here. So after speaking with them today, they said they will send more personnel, more trucks, whatever it takes to cure the problem, because they don't want to leave with a bad taste in our mouths. So what I would recommend at this point is to go ahead and have the city council vote to begin that 30-day period to get rid of the contract. If they don't perform well in the next 30 days, then we let that contract lapse. If they do better and we deem them to have come around and done a better job, then I think we can then have the city council vote to rescind that particular order. So the recommendation is to begin that 30-day period, and then if nothing happens, it will be null and void at that particular time.
Question from the table
No, I don't have a question.
or comments?
Okay. I think on the whole, for the first year, we did an okay job. We found some flaws. And from July 4th week, prior to that, I think it went pretty smooth, but July 4th week, I think we were all amazed at the number of things that were left on the beach. But every time a comment was made, I think Philip or Mel got another crew out there, our crew. I question though, if, yes, their fella didn't contact their head guy, but did our city, if they knew that day that they only had one person there, did our city contact the head person? Did our city double check with that head person? Or do we just leave it to the driver of the truck? And I think that if our city didn't contact them, then we've dropped the ball too. I'm not for giving them 30 more days. I would say I think for the first year, now that they know what we expect, they should have known before, but did we double check with them? We have until the beginning of September and let the contract run out, then reevaluate everything, how many crews we need every day during July 4th, where they enter, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not sure that it's just all that, unless you did contact them the minute you found out that there was only one person.
We did contact the drivers. In other words, we did not contact the top dogs. We did contact by text, by phone, with a local driver, what the deficiencies have been.
Well, I wouldn't think that's our responsibility. We have a contract with them, they're supposed to uphold their contract, and we shouldn't be having to watch every minute, every move they make. And if they can't have their driver talk with his boss, then they've got a problem.
Well, they currently don't have that driver anymore. That driver's gone.
That kind of explains
But
it.
one of the issues that we did discuss today was our inability to get a hold of the top dog per se.
Okay.
And he has assured me that whenever that 527 number comes across his phone, he will be answered. Whenever an email comes across his computer, it will be answered, that we won't have that problem again. Because yes, we did have that problem. Yes, the city did contact the top dog, but we did have problems getting in contact with that person.
Okay.
But that was addressed today.
With the issues, I don't have a real problem with the letter. I do want to point out, I think that my memory is correct. One of the things that was to be gained from this contract was an understanding of what we needed to do for next year. And I think these deficiencies that we have with whomever we're working at are things that are teaching problems. And I would hopefully like for the company to do better and end the contract at its normal date, so that we can truly have a good understanding before next year as we go out for a contract on our side, what we expect and what may be issues with any company we go with.
So the letter you're saying is 30 days, we're giving you 30 days, and then the contract is over.
Correct.
Unless they,
So they get the letter, and what makes them want to do anything good on the weekends coming up?
Well, we have the opportunity to determine in the next 30 days whether it's worth breaking that letter.
We don't have to
So
pay
so
them.
it's not, it's so, all right, so then maybe I worded it incorrectly. I thought it was, you have 30 days until the contract ends.
Correct.
But if they don't do what they're supposed to do, we don't have to pay them for what they're not doing. Do we?
Well, the way you asked that was kind of sideways. For any work that they have done, we have to pay them.
I know, but the work that they haven't done, we don't have to pay them.
Right, like the day the gentleman overslept and didn't do anything,
Right.
we're not paying for that.
That's right.
Right.
and again, if they improve to the level we expect, we then would expect you back here and say, continue it for another 2 or 3 weeks, whatever.
What's remaining in the contract,
Right.
yes, sir.
I like the idea of giving them 30 days because my observation prior to July 4th was that we could do that work ourselves and did it 4 of the 7 days of the week in 45 minutes. And I don't understand that we want to pay somebody $300 for in essence, an hour's worth of work if we can do it. And I've discussed this with both of you concerning if we have control, and I like the idea that we know who's down there, we schedule people to do an hour's, in essence, an hour's worth, not over the July 4th. I think that's one of those off the chart weeks that we all just do the best we can to survive. But prior to that, it was easily done in an hour, and we we have that history. We saw that that happened. So at $300 a day for what amounts to an hour's worth of work, I don't have the need to learn any more of how they do it. I mean, it's, you put a truck down there, and if the stuff's there, you pick it up. It's just having somebody down there that we know that we know who it is. They're accountable to us for doing it. So I would be in favor of putting the 30 days out there, because I don't think we need to spend that money. I don't see the need to spend $300 a day for 3 days a week, because we've already seen, and it's fixing to do the same thing. July 4th is come and gone. It's fixing to wane right back to a few tents, a few chairs, a few umbrellas, just like it did in June. And in August, it will most likely be less than that, from our history of seeing what goes on the beach. And we have visitors, I think, that are not slow learners. They know that they learn not to put their things down. I think we've done a great job of enforcing leaving of trays, considering something that's as new as it is. I just hate to see us spend the money. If we can do it and be effective with it and be accountable and know who's down there.
Do we have the manpower to do it on the Saturday and the Sundays?
We currently already have people out here on Saturday and Sundays working. To add an extra man, if that's what the city wanted to do, we would make that happen.
Hello? I was waiting for Bill to say something. I agree with the mayor. I never did much like the idea in the first place, but.
Well, remember, enforcing it is we've already seen. I don't think it takes a lot to understand that we had some bumps in the road. It was new, but if we can do it ourselves and we know who's down there, and to avoid, to me, it's even more of an accountability issue than turning it over to a contractor, to just try to use some common courtesy and some common sense. Not that the guys from the contracting people don't have that. I'm not saying they don't have that. I'm saying that I like the idea that we have our people down there doing it, because it is new and you're going to run into issues. And so it just doesn't make, I just can't, I'm having a hard time signing those checks at $300 a day for what we get.
I can assure you, if whichever way the council wants it to go, we can make it happen.
Do we save money by us doing it?
I mean, sure, yeah, I mean, we can do it cheaper than $300 a day.
Okay.
All right, so the recommendation was to enact by vote to give put the company on 30 days notice. Not that that's going to happen, but it gives us gives Mel some backbone there to say, okay, here's what we're doing, and then they will evaluate it. And they may come back and say no, but I certainly I hope the money comes into play somewhere along the line, because that's important to me.
So according to the contract, we have to give them 30 days notice?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I think we should have given them
it's like a 20-page
20 days
contract.
ago. Be fine with me.
All right, so then the chair will recommend, we'll
Why don't we just give them notice? Forget about it. Give them 30 days notice right now.
I'm just following what he.
I know, but we've all decided that we can do it, and we can do it
Make a
cheaper.
motion, and then we'll see where we go.
I would so move that we give them notice 30 days effective today, that we're going to discontinue the contract.
How about effective when they receive it, or, I mean, can't do it today because the letter's not written, unless you already wrote the letter and it's ready to go in the mailbox.
Okay, do it 2 days from today.
Nick's makes me tell us what we're going to do.
The contract that Mel was describing earlier, to make it less than 30 days, it has to be for a default And even in that case, they still get, it says reasonable time, I think, to correct the default. The cleanest, simplest thing is to do the 30 days. They're going to keep doing the work for the next 30 days, and then it's over. Also, when you do terminations for default and you're accusing somebody of doing something wrong, it tends to get messier.
Exactly. Okay, so,
Well, we can't help because their guys oversleep.
Well, that's the termination for default clause, and
That's kind of what I thought, yes.
I'm not exactly, I think that curing that default, it already happened, it's done. I think it would probably just be that they show up on time and do a good job going forward.
are we obligated to 3 days?
At this point, we are.
We are obligated to 3 days a week.
The contract has a specific schedule.
Okay, I looked at the contract, but I got tired of reading it. Wore me out.
About page 4, you're tired.
Okay, all right, I just missed that page.
I did not write that one.
It'd been 60.
I thought you might say that.
Some attorney did.
All right, so let's try to bring this thing back to, so what's your motion again?
My motion was to contact them in writing and give them 30 days' notice that we're going to discontinue the contract with them. We're going to cancel the contract, and the city's going to do it ourselves.
But the motion is to
Would you like me to-
give 30 days notice.
Right.
Okay. All right, do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second, further discussion. Anyone? Call the roll, please.
I'm going to read it first.
Oh, yeah.
Motion
You
by-
think you need to reread it?
Yes.
I was gonna say, let's go and ask Jerry to tell us.
Don't ask me to put, no, that's not going on.
Motion by Mr. Wallace and second by Mr. Putnell to provide 30-day notice to Coastal Paracel of the termination of the contract for Leave No Trace services.
Well said. All right, now call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yep.
Ms. Albright.
No.
Mayor Camp.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Mr. Putnell.
Yes. Okay. Public Works Director.
This one's pretty simple, surplus the old push boat, you know, we got the new one in now. It's out there working, we no longer need the old one. I'd just like to surplus it so that we can get rid of it.
You don't think anybody's going to pay us for that, do you?
We will get a little bit of money out of scrap. We're gonna take it over to Panama ourselves
okay.
and take it to the scrap. We'll get
Okay.
more that way, but yeah.
Okay, for surplus, we need a motion to declare the push boat.
Second.
Motion and second. Any opposition? I don't think the push boat deserves much time. All right, help me here, wherever. Playground equipment.
It's not in the packet. I laid it out in front of everybody when I got here, but it's the same email that I sent out last week, and it's the layout that was requested. As you can tell, your graph there in front of you, which looks like this. Each square represents 1 foot, so that is an actual. That's a real good comparison. The playground that we all spoke about and liked is your large gray square at the top. It says playground set. I could go down below that. The smaller rectangle is the smaller adult exercise equipment set, the four piece, which is this one here. And the red rectangle is the larger one, which is here. Now, if we add the adult exercise equipment in, we're just not going to be able to put in any swings or anything else. It'll just be that playground set and then some adult exercise equipment. My recommendation was to leave the playground as a child's playground so that we can add swings and stuff, and then move the adult exercise equipment that was the original plan over to Parker Park. We have a $50,000 FERDAC grant for Parker Park for playground, adult exercise equipment, whatever we choose to do. But the money's there for the Parker Park.
Well, I would say leave the adult playground or equipment or exercise area out of municipal park, make it all kids. Put the swings back in, the playground equipment for the kids. That's the way it was before. We built City Hall there. We told the community that we would put the playground back. So I think we need to stick with our word and forget the adult stuff. That's my feeling.
No, I don't agree with that. And I'd like to have some adult stuff there because that park area gets more play from adults than it does anybody else. I mean, when you look out there on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you see 25 to 50 people out there playing pickleball,
That's their exercise.
yeah, and of course, we have the emergency people standing by a lot of the time. But it might help them if they had some exercise equipment that I'm not talking about 10 or 15 things, I'm talking about 3 or 4 things that would be used. And before I vote on anything, I want to talk to 2 or 3 people, 2 or 3 other people about exercise equipment. I mean, not that I appreciate what Phil's done and all that, but I still want to nose around some.
This may be a non-starter, and I agree with that. Understand that starting with this, but it's also occurred to me, I know we have one park and we have children's exercise equipment there that isn't used. However, it's also in an area where I see a lot of adults that are walking. They're walking with their kids. I would wonder if it would be feasible to put exercise equipment under the palms, because there are a lot of adults that walk in that area. They may, and visitors including, use it. They may not. I don't know. It's just throwing a thought on the table.
Back when I was in road department, that was the plan, was to pave that walking path, and along that walking path place different pieces of adult exercise equipment. I do know that was once an idea.
Can we have some time to think about this?
I don't know. He's the mayor.
I'm willing
When
to,
does this have to be?
Yeah, when do we have to do
Yeah.
this?
This is first of all, in answer to your question, can we do this under the Palms Park? We can, but it's going to be on our own nickel. The FERDAP grant is not money we can transfer
okay.
from one park to the other.
Thank you.
The second issue is the FERDAP grant for municipal park is expiring at the end of this calendar year, so we need to make some decisions pretty doggone quick, because it's July already. By the time we get this thing bid out, that's another, 30 to 60 days, so we're at a short timeline. So the intent all along was to replace the children's equipment at Municipal Park with children's equipment.
I agree with that.
So I would recommend we go ahead and proceed with that. If we want to put in some adult equipment later on in a different part of the park, by all means, we can do that. But I think to get this thing moving, I think we just need to keep on keeping on the way we are.
I think we need swings there if we're going to do.
Phil, on your diagram, you're showing the adult exercise area, then you have 4 pieces.
Yes, sir. The 4-piece is this one here,
9,000. Yeah.
and the larger red piece, which I did put the number for that, is this one here, which is 7 pieces.
My question is, can we put some swings and just put 2 pieces?
The problem with the swings is they need an area of roughly, I think it was 26 feet long by 43 feet wide. We just don't have the space to put anything other than a swing there.
Okay. Well, then I agree with Linda, that we just
Stick with the park.
stick with the park, put the children's playground equipment, put swings, and move on.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I don't know, is that agreeable to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Not to you, not to me, not to you. But
Do
it
we
is
need-
there, do we
I
want to
agree.
make a motion to do that? so
I'll
we
make a
get
motion.
Everybody has their say.
I make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the playground equipment and the swings.
Yes, sir.
No adult.
No adult equipment, the playground equipment plus swings.
Did you have that, Ada? That motion?
Kind of.
Motion done. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion from anybody? Call the roll.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
No.
Mr. Putnam?
Yes. Okay.
Those poor adults.
remembering when he needs it.
Put something in your yard. How's that? Will that work?
I can't bend over to get them in.
Have Diane put them in for you.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
That's
Just a
right.
thought. Okay. Street paving.
Pal.
Your Honor, I'll start with the easy ones first. If you look at the screen, you can see, this is 29th Street. You can see where the edge of the paving stops, right along there where I get that little hand waving. The property that the street needs to go to is up here. So these poor folks for years have been going off the pavement onto this sandy, rocky base into their home. So we would recommend that we extend the pavement to where these little gates are right there. 30th Street has a similar issue in that the pavement stops right around this neck of the woods. It needs to go further north to that property line as well. 33rd Street. This one is not so easy. We recently passed a variance to have someone place a home in that neck of the woods there, if you can see where I'm circling that little hand there. But as you can see, the property line is there and the pavement stops short of that property. So we need to extend that one as well, you know, to access these folks here. This one is much more difficult in that CCCL line. So we're gonna have to get quite a few approvals from the state before we proceed with that one. But the reason I brought up the 29th and 30th Street one is that we do have money in this year's budget that I think will be sufficient to pay for those two items, get them off of our plate. That all being said, now we'll go to Oleander. This is the one that we've spoken about in the past. This is the area behind Killer Seafood, in front of the townhomes there. Our engineer has provided a couple of estimates. The first page, I'm trying to blow it up a little bit more. This is for the paving and the stormwater management that we spoke about. By the time you add mobilization, the construction items, the engineering contingencies, and some ribbon curbing, the total cost is $93,455. And I didn't even kick in the 64 cents myself. But I think that's a little more than we're willing to spend in that area. If we go to just the paving, by the time you add all of those figures, the cost almost goes in half. It's $45,197. Even that's a huge pill to swallow. Because I think the point that the mayor was making at the last meeting was, these are normally the things that is incumbent upon the developer to do as they build and develop that subdivision. So it was not done years ago, and now the residents are asking us to do it. So at $45,000, do you want to do it, or do you think there might be a cheaper alternative?
I have a question for Jeff. Last meeting or the meeting before, didn't you say something about we could cause some flooding along there? Could you reiterate that again for me?
There's already an erosion issue from water coming off of 98 down 9th Street, crossing Oleander and washing out a driveway connection that runs to the north on the west end of those townhouses. If we go through and add more impervious area in that vicinity, without having somewhere to route that stormwater, it can increase actual velocities of the stormwater runoff that's passing across there. So it could contribute to further erosion issues.
Okay, so the lower amount, that's without the stormwater. So we could be causing more flooding if we did that one. And if we went with the stormwater, it would be 93,000.
We could, that's based on a 22-foot drive aisle, which is a standard street width, two 11-foot lanes, one in each direction. With there only being 5 or 6 units on there, we could explore looking at a narrower section, an 11-foot section, and then try to put in a shallow swale that would catch stormwater runoff from smaller events, but you would still be increasing the impervious area in that vicinity, so you would still have, for your larger events, more water moving quicker through that area. And again, that would be without, even if we did the narrower lane with a shallow swale there, you're talking about only being able to collect and hold a small amount of runoff, and the rest of it's going to go over the top of the berm, out the ends, and continue its path north. So,
Well, I certainly don't want to be causing any flooding.
it wouldn't be flooding, it's just erosion issues. I believe all the finished floors in that area are a couple feet above the road, correct? Right.
But what
So the
about?
water doesn't stage up there, it just continues on down the hill.
Okay, would it affect Gulf Foods or Killer Seafood?
We're downstream of them.
Okay.
Do the residents want us to blacktop the street?
They do. If I could ask a question that I think maybe a lot of people are thinking out there. The road that's there now has been there for a number of years. It's a good established base. From an engineering standpoint, what would be the negatives of just simply asphalting that in its current form?
Well, you would need to compact it, hit it with a roller vibrator machine. If you just simply went and tried to pave over the top of it, there's a lot of loose gravel there. The asphalt's just going to come up in chunks. You might get a few months out of it, but it'll become a maintenance issue where you'll be patching it all the time.
Jeff, is it considered a private road?
I
No,
believe-
that's dedicated to the public there.
It is dedicated.
Right.
I think we should pave it correctly, and let's see what happens.
What about the erosion? Is that on someone else's property, I think?
It's eroding now anyway.
But if we erode more, does that not, into someone else's property, we increase erosion, which I think is across a road that they can use going back, or right at the edge of it. Are we not putting the city in jeopardy of that owner coming to us and saying, you gotta do something?
The state rule is if you improve paving this road, you don't have to treat the stormwater, you don't have to manage it, but if you improve the stormwater runoff situation. If we have a shallow, very shallow, narrow gully, swale, we're improving because there's no infrastructure there already.
Okay.
They could always come back and say something, write a letter or threaten action, but we would be meeting the state requirements in that instance.
And so instead of making it two lane basically, and we making it just the 11 foot, our price would go down quite a bit.
Significantly.
If we're gonna do anything, I'd recommend the 11 foot.
Yeah. If we're gonna do anything.
Because remember, it's not through traffic.
No.
No.
Right.
And
I mean, it's not like they're going, once they turn in there, they got to turn around and come back out.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the city's responsibility to do something that a builder should have done.
Yeah.
Well, but it was the city's responsibility to make sure the builder did what he was supposed to have done. That's what we're doing today. You know, so now we're winding up having to pay for something the builder should have done whenever that road was put in, and which they didn't do. So now the rest of the people in town are paying for it. But the people that live there are paying taxes too. And I don't know, can you do what you need to do with 11-foot width as far as moving the water and the blacktop?
Again, it would be a very shallow swale section. They'd be able to park over the top of it. Just adding that and some vegetation there, a little berm to handle a little bit of stormwater runoff from smaller events
But if it's 11 feet wide and they're parking on the top of it, nobody can get by them, right?
Well, they would pull off of it to park. They'd be parking in the grass, similar to what they do now already.
Oh, okay.
How wide is it now?
The dirt's about maybe 20 feet, or I should say the lime rock, about 18, 20 feet.
But the rest of Oleander, the mile plus of Oleander on the other side of the canal, only about 11 feet wide. It's all one-way straight. I don't see the need to pave a two-lane highway that runs off into the creek anyway.
It's a half a block.
And I agree, I think we should, I'm okay with paving the road as long as they participate and we do it like we do the rest of Oleander, which was 11 or 12 feet at the most.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay.
Let the stormwater, we meet our obligation to them, they are paying taxes, they get, but we don't need to go pave it like we would if it was 7th Street or.
Right. Okay.
And we'll have a price reduction.
And what you see there at the end, the recommended option, a ribbon curving is simply a rectangular section of concrete curbing that protects the edge of the pavement. Whenever you do some paving, especially over material like a lime rock base, and the existing areas are that lime rock material, the edges tend to get damaged more quickly. That ribbon curving just puts a hard edge on it, protects that, cuts down on maintenance. So that's just one of those things that's recommended. You can certainly get by without doing it, but it's something to think about.
We don't have ribbon curving on any street in town,
Okay.
but it's nice. But it's expensive.
It can help.
How much does it cost here? You have that?
$8,600.
That drop it down.
So that's about 540 linear feet. The stretch of Oleander is 225 feet, and there's about a 30-foot stretch of 9th Street. So that's just going around the perimeter.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
So we're going, I think what you've heard is that we're gonna pave the road, or we can put it on the list for the width of Oleander, whatever, I don't really know, but you're right, it's 11 or 12 feet wide. And then,
Jeff and I will get to
yeah,
it.
Are we gonna do it with or without the ribbon curving? Because there's
I'm
a
not for
price.
the ribbon curving,
Okay, I agree.
Yeah, without.
Yeah.
I'm not, but
Oh God, which one was it? The one on the south side of 98, the small section, was it 30th Street?
33rd?
33rd Street. I've already spoken to DEP about it. What they're requiring us to do right now is we provide the site, which two things we do. We provide the site and the dimensions of the area that need to be paved, but probably don't get too very involved. But we do have to provide them site plans. Same for if we choose, and I went ahead and asked anyway, since I was already talking to them, if we choose to try to pave the rest of Canal Parkway further out. Same, we'll have to provide that same information.
okay, so then we can move forward with those few projects based on I don't think that requires any kind of count, that's money that we have available, you've shown us what we're gonna do.
Next, we'll be required to get some bids from contractors and that sort of
Oh,
thing,
yeah,
so.
yeah,
we'll
but
have to
you
get
can bring
your-
that back,
Yes,
that
sir.
would require, but.
Exactly.
Okay. We good?
Are we good?
Good.
Okay. Mayor Kathy, Beach Bend, I put this on here prior to knowing that Nick was gonna supply us, because I had, again, trying to catch up and understand beach vendors, not so much the exemptions, but I was confused about what we were doing about beach vendors. And since this agenda was posted, Nick has provided a draft of things for us to consider. So I don't really have it. That was some of the questions that what's in your documents are some of the things that I was just confused about what we were doing. So, I really don't have anything to comment about that. I think we should put, in light of the information we have received, I guess now that we need to digest that and put it on our next month's meeting so that we can discuss that.
Would it, because of the full extent of it, would it be better next month, or go ahead and do it, you know?
Next meeting's in 2 weeks.
you know, or the 1-2 weeks away? Look at-
Yeah,
we
I'm
may
sorry,
have to
I'm
go-
sorry,
okay.
too, well, that's right, I said next month.
Yeah,
Put it on our next meeting.
that way we can look at it, if we need to digest it
Yeah,
more. or
we'll
approve it,
have
we
a
can
chance,
move
because
it.
we just got it.
Yeah.
Put it on for the next, regular meeting, whenever that, the fourth
25th,
Tuesday.
I think.
I don't have a calendar.
I think it's
I
the
got it at the end.
25th.
You know, is that good with everybody? Okay.
Yeah, in the meantime, please, I welcome any feedback. I've spoken to Mel, but not very much to anybody else, so any comments you have. are
Yeah,
welcome.
well, we can shoot you an email or with something there that's, okay, moving on to reports. Chief Kell, well, he's got what you got for us.
Second time of the month, the month of June was a busy month. The chief did indicate that he wanted me to just give a summary of the calls that seem to have had interest in the previous council meeting, mostly the thefts and the burglaries. We did go to quite a few medics over the last month and a week. We did have 2 burglaries, both out of vehicles, both were unlocked. The thefts were, I believe it was 8, I think we picked up a 9th one. They were all things, the first one was, somebody stole some sunglasses, they were actually friends. One wanted to press charges, the other one ponied up the sunglasses, and the first one was not checked. We had a theft from 800 Highway 90, items were located and returned, save for 8/14/98. The individual found the person that took the items and got the items back and still didn't like press charges. There's been a couple of thefts of people taking boxes that were delivered to the houses from the doorstep before they actually connect and get it picked up. A couple of leads on that, not sure where that's gonna go yet, but we do have a couple of leads go on that. Gotta get them away from all that. There was a theft of money from 408 7th Street. That is still currently under investigation. 1701 Del Governor had a couple of high-profile break-ins in one of their rooms, a couple of thefts with a handgun and approximately $1,400 in cash. Officer Foster, or Sergeant Foster is investigating that. Paradise Shores property had some stolen beach chairs and umbrellas and things. The total amount ended up being approximately $1,800. And Gulf County has pinged us with a theft of a credit card that possibly was used here in the city. We're helping them out. All in all, our total call list last month was 353 calls. The prior year was 382. We're down about 20 calls or so, mostly due to code enforcement calls last year. We were heading up the code enforcement side for that month, and all those calls extra were from code enforcement. I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Any questions for police from anyone?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Who's next? Philip?
Mark, actually.
Mark? All right. I lost my agenda. It's in here somewhere.
I'll be quick. We had 37 calls last month, 23 of them were medicals, 2 various other ones, 2 water emergencies. The only other thing I have is ISO will be here July 27th for his inspection. Other than that, I don't have anything unless anybody has questions.
Who's ISO?
Your insurance rating for your fire insurance on your house.
I knew that. And so how long would it take us to find out what our insurance rating is?
He'll come back, typically it's about 3 months after he does his survey, let us know what we're at, give us 60 to 90 days to fix the issues, to come back and do another one, and then that'll be our final one. If we fail to fix them, then whatever he gives us this first go around is what we're stuck with.
And we are at what level now?
A 5.
Okay. Do you have any idea, you probably don't, but do you have any idea of what, how it would affect our insurance?
Very hard to give
Yeah.
hard numbers.
Significant, would you
Yes.
think? Thank you.
Any questions for Mark? Anyone? Thank you, Mark. All right, Mr. Hall?
very quiet for the month of June, as y'all can see, nothing exciting. So if y'all don't have any questions, that's all I got.
That's good. Good reports.
Yep.
I'll let you give some other reports.
Yeah.
Good job. Any questions on Public Works?
Nope.
Oh, they don't know. Okay. All right, Adrian?
The May report is in your packet and actually reflects the change to the budget from the budget amendments. It does on the bottom, it doesn't on top yet. I just noticed I missed it. Your cash fund balances are on the back page, and of course, we had our budget meeting yesterday at 9 a.m. Our next one is going to be with our regular meeting on Tuesday, the 25th at 9 a.m. And I have one other little thing, and that is People's South Bank is offering a 1% CD for 18 months or a 8-month CD for 0.75%. Those are the highest rates I've seen in years. I didn't know if the wish of the council was to put some of that reserve money into a CD. We have until the end of July to make that decision, so that'll be on the next meeting agenda, so just think about it until then. That's all I have.
Questions for the clerk? Adrian, I was looking, and I meant to ask you, and I don't think it's reported this way, but the percentage of taxes we have, what did we get to? Percentage of our collection of ad valorem tax for the year?
We're at about 95.5. They're still coming slowly, but
Okay, so
I expect
we're
it to be
that
about
high?
97.
We're that high?
Mhm.
We've collected?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's great, okay. Mel?
I wish I could be as brief as Mr. Hall, but it's not going to happen, I'm sorry. Do have 3 items. Number one, I always provide the building permit information. And what we always like to point is our new home construction. You can see in 2013 it was 8, 2014 it was 19, 2015 25, 2016 29, and already this year we're at 20. So we are moving ahead at a pretty nice pace. That dovetails on the next one. When I first got here, there was a big debate about us sharing a zip code with Port St. Joe, and that some of the taxes that people pay in Bay County might go to Gulf County because of Port St. Joe being listed on some of the taxes we all pay. That's not property taxes, that's sales taxes, the communication taxes, things of that sort. Last year, maybe a year and a half ago, I worked extensively with the state and the county to get that all straightened out. So at that point, everything that was in Mexico Beach got credited to Mexico Beach. We had well over 100 total addresses that were being taken to Port St. Joe that was deservedly ours. That has all been fixed. But things move forward and you have new homes built, as I just indicated. So just today I was online with the state again, and the lady on the telephone walked me through it to make sure I didn't botch it all up, which is always good. There were 69 new addresses that we verified being in Mexico Beach just in the past year that came online. There was another address that was credited to Port St. Joe that will be ours at some point in the near future here. So just let everyone know that that old fear is no longer valid. It's been taken care of and continues to be taken care of each year by the state and the county and our input. The last thing is that every quarter we have an employee appreciation dinner. And the one that we had in June covers the months of June, July, and August. What we do during that time is recognize birthdays and whatnot, but most importantly, we recognize not just our employee of the quarter, but people who've been with us for some time. And even though August hasn't come around yet, But Mr. Dale Addison in August will have been here for 20 years. That's a good milestone. Back on the 8th of July, Sherry Martin, you all know her from the office, 34 years, far and away the longest serving employee that we've got. Also, on the 14th of July, which is coming up, R.D. Young will have been with us for 12 years. And that's a pretty good while as well. The only other one I'll mention is that we've got Andy Matinchek later this month will be at 8 years. So even that's a pretty impressive number of years with the city. This quarter's employee of the quarter is an employee that has really demonstrated his versatility. No question we have employees that have a single job that they come in and they do every day. They go home and don't have to think about it. Some employees make themselves valuable by learning other skills that can transfer to other things, and that makes them most valuable to the city. That allows us to get a lot more done with a small amount of people. This person has served in a pretty high important job with the city for years, no longer does that, but has really shown when other employees are hurt that he can do things like run the dredge. He's our mechanic. He runs equipment. He does everything we ask of him and more. And so this quarter's employee is Troy Williams. That's all that I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, thank you. We have some excellent employees, and those that have been here that long, that's a good,
God bless you.
well, I was gonna say that too. Thank you. Mr. Attorney, you have anything?
I have nothing.
Have nothing, okay. Motion for adjourn, any announcements?
Yes, sir. I got one.
You had a short report.
Just real short.
Go ahead.
I put together a Mexico Beach canal boat slip / dock rules and regulations page. This is designed to help us maintain and keep the new docks and the new slips down there looking, or as long as possible, as great as they can possibly look. And this is just going to help us to do it. So I just ask the council to take some time, read through it, give me some information, what you want gone, what you want put in, things of that.
Let's put that on our agenda for the next meeting, and we will need to adopt it.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, we'll have that time to.
Change whatever you
Yeah.
need to change. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, Nick, is this something that needs to, on rules and regulations for our, we've never had any rules, if you would, for our canal, written rules. Is this something that once we finalize it, that this needs to be reviewed, or is this something we can adopt without?
Are these going to be the rules that govern what the public can and cannot do? And
If the boat slips.
right. If it's all on city property, it can be done just administratively. You can adopt it. Those are like rules you'd have in your own city hall. If it's
Right.
going to cover any other property, you'll want to do it by ordinance because you're creating rules for the city.
This is strictly for, these will pertain strictly to the canal property in the
Right.
boat slip area.
Yeah, it won't require an ordinance.
I didn't-
You can just
We can
approve
just
it.
adopt them, and I
Yes,
just
sir.
think we need to adopt, it needs to be on the books that we adopted this. So, all right, so add that, and then we've got a couple weeks to massage that. Are there any other announcements?
I have one more. Just because I know I'm going to get a phone call for the third time, I'm going to tell you. The next meeting is July 25th at 9 a.m., and it will be a regular council meeting because of the passage of Resolution 2017-07.
Okay. 9 o'clock.
That's right.
Okay. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.